the Bible talks about in the last days how there will be lawlessness, right? There will be no order, no authority, right? People will be lovers of themselves. And so they will be boastful and prideful, right? And we see that with the LGBTQ and how, they can just be whoever they want to be, do whatever they want to do, and no one can say that they can't do that they can't do whatever they want to do, right? And so there's kind of this slowly rising for less like this desire to have less accountability and just to let me be me, let me be free, and that's what they call the liberal agenda, right? Setting free from supposedly bad rules or forceful, controlling rules that keep people from being their true selves. Anyway, and however, in order to get to that point, there needs to be a reason for things to get that way. So there's this path, right? So although the Bible states that there's lawlessness, that there will be lawlessness, there needs to be a sort of reason for why we would need to do that, right? So the devil comes as an angel of light, right? So there is kind of a reason for why we need to do this, why we need to do that, right? And so for a reasoning, right, to push an agenda, to push this stuff, you need a bunch of reasoning and different things like that. So we're starting with police and cops, right? There's this movement of wanting to defund the police, and because of the supposedly of the many shootings lately, and because of those shootings, and because people have this perspective that cops are just running around shooting people left and right, when that isn't the case, and there's plenty of footage to say otherwise, but I'm not going to get into that in this video. This one's not solely about that. But right, first it starts with cops and authority, right? With defunding the police, right? It seems like a good idea because it appears that they're going around shooting people, which I just said that, but just to kind of to restate my point. So first it starts with the police, right? And yes, and it looks like the only reason would be to defund the police, and because it appears like they can't handle the job, right? See, there's reasoning behind, right? Reasoning to do this, reasoning to that. There's always going to be some sort of reason, some sort of justification that people are going to try to come up with to say that we need to do this, we need to do that, because they want you to get in on their agenda, and they want to push this thing, and I want you to agree with them. So there is this antichrist spirit taking over. And now when God works in law and order, right? God works, right? God is a God of law and order, or of order and decency, right? He's God of order, right? So there has to be order. There's certain rules and things that he puts into place to allow his will to come in and to make sure that things don't get too out of hand. And so there's also a growing hate for the Christian values and beliefs like the LGBTQ, which I previously stated, of how, right, people are wanting to do whatever they want to do, and they're getting mad at Christian values, because Christian 'cause it appears that Christian values are what is setting, or what is holding them back or keeping them bound to from or holding them back from being whoever they truly are, and from being whoever they want to be, right? And just like I previously stated in one of my previous videos, that you know that our flesh is naturally rebellious, right? We want to do what we want to do. We don't want anybody else to tell us otherwise, right? Like, our flesh and our carnal man is wicked, and we just want to, we just want to do whatever, right? And so that's kind of one of the reasons why LGBTQ feel this way, because they want to be who they want to be, and they don't want anybody else telling them that they can't or that it's wrong, right? And this also goes back to being lovers of themselves, as I mentioned previously, of people loving themselves, and right, and being, again, loving themselves, and instead of loving the things of God, right? Now, of course, God created us, and it's not always wrong to love ourselves, but loving, like, be more in love of yourself and doing what you want to do, and then hating anything that's telling you, hey, that's not right, or you shouldn't do that. So that's kind of all that is kind of feeding in and contributing to what we're seeing now, with the LGBTQ. And then there's also the Black Lives Matter movement too, with claiming to care for Black lives, when there's video footage and evidence that isn't always the case. But then we also see in there, like, on their website, which I can't really find it. I'm not really sure if it's just me, but anyway, I can't really find it. But there was a certain like part in their website, like I think on the about page, on the first pages, whatever. Anyway, where they were talking about how they want to get rid of the nuclear family, and the nuclear family structure is a man as a father, woman as a mother, and then however many children. And they want to do away with that. But notice how they want to do away with what God is calling good. God calls that good, right? Because men, mothers, and fathers, and the Bible kind of telling us to be like fruitful and multiply and different things like that, and how fathers shouldn't, like, be super harsh on their children, anyway, and different things like that. But that's to like, right, that's just more evidence why God is calling this good. Anyway, when they're calling that family structure, the things of God, nuclear, right? They're calling it nuclear. They're saying that it's like, and it sounds like they're saying it's destructive, right? Again, calling the things of God evil, right? When God is good and everything good thing comes from God, but then they're calling that evil. And then this also goes into, the Bible saying in the last days that evil will be called good and good will be called evil. Sorry. And right, and how they're saying that that's destructive. So we see that this path to lawlessness is kind of happening a lot more with, right, this path to lawlessness is really hating the things of God. Because people hate the things of God, and they just want to rebel, and they just want to do what they want to do. That's leading to this, that's kind of contributing and feeding into this lawlessness type of spirit, type of um, feeling or motive, you know, this whole agenda and different things like that. That's kind of feeding it, right? And so that's just, the main thing, right? This path to lawlessness, having no accountability and doing whatever you want to do. And again, as I previously stated, it's just starting with feelings and with gender and just being who you want to be. But then slowly and slowly, we're seeing this, this hatred for police and an order, and the hatred for police is coming from how the mainstream media paints things and makes things look, um and all that is feeding in. So the more that we're hating police, that's again, all that's gonna contribute to this lawlessness, right? Again, first it starts with feelings, just like, oh, gender and sexuality, right? But then it's slowly kind of starting to go more into, um different police and people just being allowed to do whatever they want to do and not have any sort of accountability for it. So, over slowly but surely, we're seeing this, kind of over time, we're seeing all of this kind of come into manifestation. We're seeing everything that God spoke because he, right, because, he knew it was going to happen. We're seeing everything kind of manifesting in the natural. And so that's just the main thing, right? Um, and how a magician never reveals his secret. But like, anyway, that's the whole thing. Just, to get you thinking. This is just kind of like a warning, a pre, right? Like, kind of like a warning of like where we're headed and, where we're going. Anyway, take care. Love you. God bless.